anti-immigration riots failed demonstrations for a fifth day in Los Angeles and sparked protests in several other cities. Meanwhile, President Donald Trump gives a speech honoring soldiers on Tuesday to defend his decision to deploy troops to Los Angeles in a confrontation over his immigration policy, a move critics have decried as a politically motivated overreaction. Elsewhere, Austrian authorities were seeking clues today to why a 21-year-old gunman shot dead 10 people in a rampage at his former high school before killing himself, one of the worst outbreaks of violence in the country's modern history. Police said the man acted alone, armed with a shotgun and a pistol. They were scouring his home and the internet to understand why he opened fire on the school in Austria's second city of Graz on Tuesday before shooting himself in a bathroom. The incident was hard to check in since a religious studies teacher at the school, Paul Nitschek, who left his classroom before the gunman tried to enter and briefly saw him trying to shoot the lock of another door. Meanwhile, Austria has held a minute of silence for 10 people killed in the school shooting after thousands gathered for a candlelight vigil for the victims on Tuesday evening. In a separate development, billionaire businessman Elon Musk said today he regretted some of the posts he made last week about US President Donald Trump as he had gone too far. Trump said on Saturday his relationship with Musk was over after they exchanged insults on social media, with his Tesla and SpaceX CEO describing the president's sweeping tax and spending bill as a disgusting abomination. Meanwhile, Marx has seen deleted some posts critical of Trump, including one signaling support for impeaching the president, and sources close to the world's richest man says his anger has started to subside and he may want to repair the relationship. Still in the White House, the US and China says they have agreed in principle to a framework for de-escalating trade tensions between the world's two biggest economies. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said the deal should result in restrictions on rare earth minerals and magnets being resolved. Both sides said they would now take the plan to President Donald Trump and Xi Jinping for approval. The announcement came after 2 days of negotiations in London between top officials from Beijing and Washington. Chinese exports of rare earth minerals, which are crucial for modern technology, were high on the agenda of the meetings. The US had said China has been slow to release exports of rare earth metals and magnets, which are essential for manufacturing everything from smartphones to electric vehicles. Meanwhile, Washington has restricted China's access to US goods, such as the semiconductors and other related technologicals linked to artificial intelligence AI. In this next report, hundreds of masked rioters attacked police and set homes and cars on fire in the northern Irish town of Ballymena in a second successive night of disorder that followed a protest over an alleged sexual assault in the town. 17 officers were injured, bringing to 32 the number hurt since the violence began on Monday following a large protest over an alleged sexual assault in the town. According to newsmen, two 14-year-old boys appeared in court that day accused of sexually assaulting a teenage girl. The charges were read to the teenagers via a Romanian interpreter. Meanwhile, a lawyer told the court that the two teenagers denied the charge. They were remanded in custody until July the 2nd. Police are investigating attacks on properties on Monday that saw four houses damaged by fire as racially motivated hate crimes. Let's move now to the Middle East, where local health officials have said that Israeli gunfire and airstrikes killed at least 35 Palestinians in Gaza today, most of them at an aid site operated by US backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation in the center of the coastal territory. Medical officials at Shifa and Al-Sport Hospital said at least 25 people were killed by Israeli gunfire as they approached the aid site near the former settlement of Nexamri, and dozens were wounded. A total of 163 people had already been killed and more than 1,000 wounded trying to reach the handful of aid sites operated by Foundation since it began work 2 weeks ago after a 3-month blockade. According to Gaza's health ministry, the United Nations has said the blockade brought the Palestinian enclave to a brink of famine and their food supplies remain critically low. In the meantime, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that there had been significant progress in efforts to secure the release of remaining hostages in Gaza, but that it was too soon to raise hopes that a deal could be reached. Despite efforts by United States, Egypt and Qatar to restore a ceasefire in Gaza, neither Israel nor Hamas has shown willingness to back down on court demands, with each side blaming the other for the failure to reach a deal. Netanyahu, who has come under pressure from within his right-wing coalition to continue the war and block humanitarian aid from entering Gaza, said in a video statement shared by his office that there had been progress without providing details. Still in the Gaza war scene, Israel says it has I'll check that again. Israel says it has deported Swedish campaigner Greta Thunberg a day after Gaza burned 8 boats. She and 11 other people was intercepted by Israeli forces in the Mediterranean. Thunberg departed Tel Aviv on Tuesday morning on a flight to France after she agreed to be deported, the Israeli Foreign Ministry said. Upon arrival at an airport in Paris, Thunberg accused Israel of illegally kidnapping her and other activists on the boat while they were in international waters. France said 5 of the 6 French citizens detained alongside her had refused to sign the deportation orders and would now be subject to judicial proceedings. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition (FFC), the activist group operating the yacht, the Medellin, had demanded the immediate release of everyone detained. The vessels were intercepted early on Monday while the activists tried to deliver a symbolic amount of aid to Gaza in defiance of Israel's maritime blockade and highlight the humanitarian crisis there. The Israeli Foreign Ministry dismissed it as a selfish yacht and announced in a post on X on Monday night that the passengers had been transferred to Tel Aviv Ben Gurion Airport following the vessel's arrival at the port of Ashton on Monday night. Let's go over to Iran now, where Iran Defense Minister Aziz Nasralzadeh said today that if nuclear negotiations failed and conflict arises with the United States, Iran will strike American bases in the region. He made the statement days ahead of the planned sixth round of Iran US nuclear talks. Meanwhile, some officials on the other side threatened conflict if negotiations don't come to friction. US President Donald Trump has repeatedly threatened Iran with bombing if it does not reach a new nuclear deal soonest. The next round of talks is due this week, with Trump saying negotiations could be held on Thursday, while Tehran says they will take place on Sunday in Oman. Iran is expected to hand a counter-proposal to a previous US offer for a nuclear deal it rejected, with Trump saying on Tuesday that Iran was becoming much more aggressive in nuclear talks. We'll take a short break soon after, but after the break, Russia hits Ukraine's Kharkiv with deadly nighttime barrage of drones. Do stay tuned to us for these and many more stories right after the breather. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is World View on Spectrum TV. Let's head now to the Russia and Ukraine war scene. Ukrainian officials confirmed today that a concentrated 9 minute long Russian drone attack on Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv in the middle of the night killed 3 people and injured 64, including 9 children. The overnight attack followed Russia's two biggest air assaults of the war on Ukraine this week. This is part of an intensified bombardment that Moscow said were retaliatory measures for Kiev's recent attacks in Russia. Kharkiv, in Ukraine's northeast, withstood Russia's full-scale advance in the early days of the war and has since been a frequent target of drone, missiles, and guided aerial bomb assaults. The intense strikes by 17 drones on Kharkiv sparked fires in 15 units of a five-story apartment and caused other damage in a city close to the Russian border, the city major Ino Tarakov said. In the meantime, talks between the United States and Russia on resolving issues in their bilateral relations will move to Moscow from Istanbul, Russia's new ambassador to Washington told the state news agency. Meanwhile, Russia also said today it was ready to remove nuclear materials from Iran and convert them into fuel as a potential way to help narrow differences between the United States and Iran over the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. Tehran says it has the right to peaceful nuclear power, but it is swiftly advancing uranium enrichment program and has raised fears in the West and across the Gulf that it wants to rebuild nuclear weapons. Moving away from that, French President Emmanuel Macron has said he would push for European Union regulations to ban social media for children under the age of 15 after a fatal stopping at the school in eastern France late yesterday. The latest such violent attack that left the country reeling Macron said in an interview that he hoped to see results within the next few months. Police questioned a 14-year-old student on Tuesday over the knifing of a 31-year-old school aide during a bag search for weapons. Meanwhile, Prime Minister François Bayrou told Parliament that the incident was not an isolated case. Macron said social media was one of the factors to blame for violence among young people, writing on social media platform X after the interview. Macron said such regulations was backed by experts and others. Platforms have the ability to verify age. Do it, he wrote. In a sad development, India's Coast Guard is continuing effort to douse a fire on a Singapore flag cargo ship in the Arabian Sea near the coast of southern state of Kerala. MV Wang Hein 503, which was heading to India's Mumbai city from Sri Lanka's Colombo, reported an internal container explosion, resulting in a major fire on board. 18 crew members have been rescued, while 4 are still missing. Singapore has sent a team to assist in the rescue effort. Meanwhile, the Indian National Center for Ocean Information Service has issued an alert for the coast of Kerala due to the potential oil spill and debris from the sea. Footage on Tuesday showed MV Wanghai 503 emitting large plumes of smoke as the Indian Navy and Coast Guard tried to extinguish the fire on board. The Coast Guard said fires and explosions continues to be seen on the ship. In South Africa, a minibus carrying school children has been swept away by heavy flooding in South Africa. A spokesperson for the Eastern Cape provincial government told newsmen. Kusala Rangtije said it was unclear how many children were on board, but 3 had so far been found alive. Rescue efforts had been suspended as night had fallen and would resume today, she further added. In a separate incident, the bodies of 7 people carried away by flood water had been found in the province or in the Tapo district. Meanwhile, South Africa has been hit by heavy snow, rains, and gale force winds that have claimed the lives of a further 5 people in a road accident and have left nearly 500,000 homes without electricity. The bad weather has forced the closure of some major roads in 2 provinces to avoid further casualties. Lastly, on World View today, police have said that Hong Kong residents found downloading or sharing a mobile game app about defeating the communist regime may be punished under national security laws. According to the website for revised funds, Bonfire players can pledge allegiance to Taiwan, Hong Kong, Bengali, Tibet, or Uyghurs. In a statement, police warned that those who download the game may be regarded as in possession of a publication that has a seditious intention. It comes as Beijing has tightened grip over the city and has been seen as increasingly cracking down on dissent in the wake of the 2019 pro-democracy protest. And with that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website at spectrumtvlive.ng. I am Emedion James, and you've been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.